Hello and welcome back to the Let's Chat podcast. Welcome to episode 2. Episode 1 was very fun. I'm having a little too much fun with this. And if you listened, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you know I'm going to do better in all the senses. You know, every episode will just get better with my storytelling, with the technology, with the microphone, the volume I'm speaking even. Hopefully it'll get better. But yeah, so last episode I talked a little bit about my job history, and I actually didn't really talk about any of my other jobs. I really only talked about like my first two, because those are like I would say the craziest stories, and I didn't even share like half the stories I had from the Italian restaurant I was talking about. But I kind of want to come back to that topic like another time if I need like a little segment, something else to talk about. Because I think the whole reason why I wanted to make a podcast, even if no one is listening, is just so I have a platform to talk about the horrible dating stories I have. There's plenty. And I'm only going to talk about a few today because as we experienced last time, I can talk about one story and one topic for hours on end. So I don't know how many I'll get to today. But yeah. And the unfortunate fact is that all of these stories have basically happened within the past year. Except my first dating story. My first date I ever went on. Actual date. Like, guy picking me up. Never had met him before. Barely knew who he was. So I'm just going to really dive into that story and we'll see where it goes from there. So, yeah. And if you're listening on Spotify, welcome. If you're watching on YouTube, hi. Let's just get started, I guess. So, my first date I ever went on was actually, I think I'm going to talk about dating apps as a whole in a whole other episode, because I could literally talk about dating apps like Tinder, Hinge, Bumble even. I had Bumble for a minute. I could talk about all of them as a whole for an entire episode for sure. And I have so many like points and like things I want to talk about within that. So I'm going to kind of keep it strictly to just the dates that have happened from the apps. But like I said, I could really talk about dating apps for hours. But when I turned 18, I think it was probably like, I gave it 3 days after I turned 18 before I got Tinder. And I shockingly did. I was not one of those people that got it before my age or before I turned 18 and like lied about it. No hate if you did that, like work, diva. But I did in fact have Yubo before I was 18. If you know, you know. And if you don't need to know, But I got Tinder, I think literally 3 days after I turned 18. So I've always been kind of, open to the dating life and ready for it. I genuinely it's okay. So I turn 18, I get Tinder 3 days later, and I'm swiping. When you're new to Tinder, you don't really know the ins and outs of it. You don't understand what men you should probably avoid. Even in dating in general, you probably, in the beginning of dating, you don't really know who you should be avoiding yet. It takes a while. And probably out of the 15 experiences that I could talk about today, I still don't really know. I know a little bit more, though, than I did at this time that I'm talking about. I definitely have learned a lot of what I want in a date or someone I'm dating or a partner, whatever it is. I've definitely learned a lot more of what I do want and what I don't want, but I'm still not fully gotten it yet. So I'll leave you with that. But so I matched with this guy and we hit it off immediately. I remember something that like really stood out to me that I loved, because I love when a man on a dating app has a really niche like pop culture thing that they love or something like that. That's like, even that within itself is really niche. I feel like that's like very specific, but basically I don't know how it was brought up, but I was telling him that I went to the Justin Bieber concert when I was in second grade. Best concert of my life, thank you. And he said my equivalent to that was I went to a Kesha concert when I was 10. And I genuinely was like, damn, that's the love of my life. I was like, damn, like I'm gonna marry this man, like just from him saying that. And yeah, it's like a funny, good little thing to say, but I really just kind of put all my eggs in one basket at that point. And so we're talking, he loved thrifting. We had the most incredible banter on, like, over the phone. We were texting, like, all day while I was in high school. Like, there's something so odd about having Tinder while you're still in high school, you know? Like, why can't you just, you know, find someone that you're going to school with? I struggled in that department. So I had to really outsource. And so we're like going back and forth, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I want to meet him. He's so awesome. Like, we are so similar. He's funny. He's interesting. He had a weird job. I think that he was, oh my God. Oh my God, I remember what he did. He was like he made, I will never, ever, ever miss the dating a gay man allegations, because I'm constantly, like, I say these types of things I'm about to say, and it's just like, babe, he made jewelry. I actually don't think I even admitted that to my friends. I do not think I admitted that to my friends. I don't think anyone knows that he was a jewelry maker. No hate to all the jewelry makers out there. Sick job. I would love that. But just from him, you know, that's like, I feel like a little bit of a, not a red flag, just a little odd. So, anyways, but I saw that as cool. I was like, oh my God, he has a cool job. He makes jewelry. Like, he can make us my engagement ring, you know, like, he can make my wedding ring that, and then propose to me with it. So that's where I was at. Anyways, we're going back and forth, whatever. And then he's like, we should go thrifting. Rule number 1 of dating: thrifting as a first date when you've never met the person before. Obviously, very specific to the circumstance. If you are friends with them and you go dating, or you go thrifting, or if you've known each other before and you go thrifting, I feel like that's totally okay. But if you've never met someone and then you go thrifting on the first date, it's awkward. You know why? Because typically, you know, you go to different sections of the store to actually thrift. Not saying I don't shop in the men's section at thrift stores. I feel like I mostly shop in the men's section at thrift stores, not trying to be like that, but it's the truth. However, you walk through different sections, you're like looking through the clothes, and you're not there to like actually thrift because you want to get to know them. But at the same time, it's just like, I don't know, I feel like thrifting on a first date is a little bit awkward. And in this case, it really was. So he picks me up. When I tell you, he did not look anything like his pictures. Because I thought he was so cute. On Tinder too, I was like his pictures, I was like, oh, he's so cute. I'm so ready, like, love my life. In person, he was about, I don't even know, but he was a skinny, scrawny little guy whenever I met him in person, and he was not. And absolutely no hate to my skinny scrawnies. I love y'all. However, I like a bigger guy, I feel like, because I simply would break him in half if I gave him a hug. So that was like mostly my concern. He was a lot thinner than his pictures, which is totally okay, but I felt a little misled. He just looked dirty with peace and love because he was wearing basketball shorts, slides, a big t-shirt, and I was like, babe, you could have tried a little bit, you know? Like, I'm not, like, I probably was wearing, like, a hoodie and, like, yoga pants, but still, like, it just seemed like he didn't put any effort to, like, you know, dressing up just a little bit, you know, something, like some jeans, but the slides was just, like, where I, like, drew the line. So immediately I get in his car and I'm like, oh my God, like, this is bad. And like I said, we had plans to go thrifting, and then we didn't, like, make anything else besides that, so we're just like, we'll see how it goes. I get in his car. I think that there were issues with driving somehow. I think he lived far away. And I think I offered to drive because he said his car was messed up or something. Red flag. Red flag. I don't even need to get into why. I just feel like that's a red flag. But I was like, yeah, no, I can drive. I can drive 45 minutes to go pick you up, you little guy, you know? And then my car, oh my God, yeah, my car ended up breaking down the day we were supposed to have the date. Mine stopped working or something happened. And so then I told him, I was like, hey, my car actually broke down. I can't drive anymore. And then all of a sudden his car's working. He's like, oh, I'll come pick you up. And once I got in the car, I understood why he wanted me to drive. Because I get in the car, there is no glove box. It's just like an empty hole where a glove box should be. The roof of the car, hanging down, like the fabric that goes on the roof hanging down, almost touching my head. The floorboard, no floor mats, which is okay. I don't even have floor mats in my car. But on the floor I literally saw weed, like just laying around, little crumbles of weed. His car reeked of weed. Window's broken. Radio doesn't work. Just barely hanging on by a loose thread, this car was. Which, no hate if your car is not great. Okay, bars. But my car is not great. Like right now, like I don't have a nice car by any means, like a super nice car or anything. However, it's just like you could have gone to the car wash and vacuumed it up, Maybe a little perfume, maybe a little Febreze, something. I feel like there was a little effort that could have been put to, In his defense, yeah, he said from the beginning he didn't want to drive. So, and I understood why, because that car was a train wreck. Once again, no hate if your car is like that in any way. No hate. But for him, I'm gonna hate. Okay, so picks me up, like I said, just didn't look like his pictures. Not wearing any outfit date worthy, in my opinion. Car was a wreck. He picks me up, and I'm like, oh fuck. Sorry, I need to breathe. Hold on. Also, I'm wearing my Y'all Crazy shirt. For those that are watching, yeah, that's right. I really had to pull out the big guns today. So, you're welcome. But yeah, so I get in the car and I'm like, fuck, this is gonna be bad. Like I just already immediately, when you know, when you know the vibes are not there, And we're talking, and his voice was also a lot different than I expected. And I tend to think I'm not like a big voice person. Like I don't really care, I feel like, that much. But I think in that moment I realized I did care because his voice just like irked me in a way. I don't know how to explain it. Like his laugh was just like it hurt my ears, which is like kind of evil to say. You can't help your laugh, you can't help your voice. But I was just like, not my vibe. So we start driving, and of course we're like, hi, whatever. And then we start driving, and he's like, where do you want to go thrift around here? Like, where's good around here? Because he came to me or whatever. And I was like, you could have planned that out, like you could have searched it up. Like I already was gonna drive originally. Like you could have found some, maybe I'm wrong for that. Maybe because it was my area that he was coming to me. Like I should have known the places. I don't know. So we go to a we go to a Salvation Army. And that Salvation Army is in fact closed when we get there. And I'm like, shit, where do we go? And then we map. I just go to maps and I find a random thrift store. Like I know all the thrift stores near my area, but I was just nervous. So I just searched up, and we went to one 30 minutes away. And on that 30-minute drive, I was just like, we are really not compatible. Like there's no spark here. There's no chemistry. And then we go thrifting, and then, like I said, it's just awkward thrifting on a first date. Like we're walking around, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to the women's section, and he's in the men's section, and then we are talking while looking through clothes and t-shirts and stuff, and it's just a little bit awkward, ugh. And also once he got out of the car, I was like, fuck, literally, why are you wearing slides and basketball shorts, babe? What? And then after that, I was like, I want to go home. I want to go home. So then he drives us back to Flower Mound, or where I'm from, and he's like, I don't know who brought up coffee, but we were like, let's get coffee. So we went to get coffee, and he paid for it, which was sweet. And then we're sitting drinking our coffee, and he's like, we were talking about, he was a DoorDasher also, along with his jewelry making, dinky little guy. And he's like, talking about he's a DoorDasher or whatever, and I was like, oh, that's awesome, asking him questions, about the DoorDashing. And then he gets a notification, someone requested, him to DoorDash. And he was like, oh, do you actually just want to go DoorDash right now? I was, like, I just was gagged, frankly. He took me door dashing on the first date. Yeah. Because I was like, what was I gonna say? No. Like, no, take me home. Like, so I just was like, yeah, that's fine. And we go to like Bahama Bucks and we drop it off 5 minutes away. This bitch is making money on our date. Like, he literally was making money on our date. He was making back the gas money. I'm like, babe, let's put that money into a car wash. Thank you. Um, and I offer, when we get to the house to drop off the DoorDash, I offer to go put it at the door because he was driving. And yeah, so I literally should have gotten that money. I put in the work. I went and I dropped it off at the door. Um, I never saw a dime of that. So yeah, he made money on our first date. Like, he had to pay the bills, I guess. I don't know. And yeah, and then after that, I was like, oh, do you think you could drop me off? Whatever. And then he texts me after he drops me off, and he's like, I had a great time. Like, I'd love to see you again. Because I was shocked. I was like, I thought it was a little bit mutually known. I was like, okay, I think we both know, like, we have no chemistry. There's nothing here. But he was like, I would love to see you again, like, whatever. And then I blocked him. I'm not, for the amount of times in my life I've been ghosted, I genuinely think all of it roots back to the karma I deserved from ghosting him the second that he left my house. I think that, like, the amount I've been ghosted so many times in my life, and I think it all rooted from the one time that I really ghosted someone, like, really truly. You unadd people on Snapchat when you've never met them and stuff like that. That's not really ghosting, but like, after seeing someone, immediately unadding them and breaking contact with them, I feel like that's the true definition of ghosting. And every time that's happened to me since, I think it's rooted back to this story. So, I'll sit with that one. But yeah, so that was my first date. Pretty bad. And it didn't stop me. Kept swiping, and it never does. It never stops me. No matter how bad the dates have been, I will always re-download that stupid red app. I will always come back to stupid Hinge and stupid Tinder, no matter how many times I have a bad experience. One day I'll learn. One day I will learn. It's probably I will probably not delete the apps until, actually, never mind. I don't know what I was about to say. Okay. I'm going to take a little break, but I will be right back. Okay. So the second story I decided that I want to tell, I'm going between two. I think I'm going to tell the Borg story. This one, I'm to blame for a good amount of me putting myself in the situation. I'll leave it at that. So, when I was living in Colorado last year, as I do, I swipe. I'm on Hinge, and I matched this guy from Hinge, and he was hot. He was a lacrosse player for CSU, and I was like, yeah, I'm down. And we're talking, and one thing about me, oh my god, I can talk my talk on the app. If I'm actually like flirting heavy with someone, I tend to not actually meet them in person because I can't do it. I can talk my talk. I will not match that energy in person to some extent. Like, I can be a little flirty in person, but I'm not. Whatever I'm saying on the apps, if it doesn't align with how I'm going to act in person, I will not meet them because, I'm not like that. I literally can't. Like, I tend to see myself as what some may say, wizard. God, I feel like I'm not bad at flirting on the apps. I've been doing it long enough. I've been here before, done it for years, so I think I've gotten better. But I was really talking my talk with this guy, and it was like a Friday night, and then I think we were talking. He was like, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I was like, I'm pretty busy, but like, I'll see. The whole deal. And I was like, I'll see. I think that I have a window of time because I was planning to go out with my friends the next night. We were going to go and Uber to a club in Denver, and we were in Fort Collins. So we had big plans. But the pregame, oh my god, I hate how I can hear myself breathing. I'm so sorry that you can hear my like every breath. But the pregame was gonna start, I think, at probably like 8 to go out, you know? And I was like, you can come over while I'm getting ready and like you can pregame with me, but like I'm gonna go out after, I can only hang out for a little bit. Um and he was like, okay, like that sounds good, whatever. And then it's the next day and I'm snapping him and I'm nervous because I think this is the first time I actually like invited a guy to hang out with me like at my apartment. And I was like, yeah, like, like if you want to come over at like 5, just being like super mysterious about this. Like, oh, I don't even want you over, but you can if you want. I was feeding and itching for this man. I needed him scientifically. So, I'm like, really, really need him bad. And so then he comes over and I have to meet him outside. Wow, this story is truly humbling. Now that I'm thinking about what happens and like me retelling it, this is truly humbling. Know that like I was humbled heavily after this. I would say I'm pretty humble already with men. I have no reason not to be. Usually it's not to get all sad, but usually it's like they ghost me or they stop talking to me for my reasons. Technically it's reasons on them because if they don't like me, that's their own fault, not mine. However, this is truly like one of the most humbling experiences of my life. So I was wearing, like sweatpants, a cute little long sleeve top. I was feeling good about myself this day too. It's always how it goes. It's always how it goes. And I meet him outside my apartment and he walks up and I'm like, fuck, he's cute. Like he's so cute in person. He, however, I could tell from the second he saw me, did not think the same. There's no sugarcoating it. Like I literally could tell he was like, oh, like I just don't think I was what he was expecting in person. And you know what? I do not catfish on my apps. Yeah, I choose the best photos of myself, as everyone does. But I don't look completely different. Like I'm not like completely different than I am from my pictures on the apps, Like my body doesn't look that different. My face doesn't look that different. Like, yeah, there are better photos of me than I look day to day. But I'm not catfishing. But damn, was this man acting like I catfish. And you know what? That's no hate. I get it. Like I just told you in the story before, it's happened to me. But that man did catfish me. That man literally was completely different than his pictures. But I'm not that different from my pictures. And so he walks up to me and he's wearing a backpack. And a little point of the story, why I call it the Borg story, is I was like, well, if you're coming over to pregame, like, do you have any alcohol you can bring? Whatever. You got any drinks you can bring? And he's like, the only thing I have is a Borg. If you don't know what a Borg is, I don't really think I need to sit here and discuss that. You can search up what a Borg is. And I was like, yeah, you can bring that as long as there's not drugs in it and you're not going to drug me. And he was like, I can take the first sip. Like, being flirty, he's like, I can take the first sip so you know that I'm not drugging it. And I was like, okay, queen, like, do that. So yeah, red flag if he's bringing a Borg to, the first time you hang out. But then again, I told him to bring it. Okay. So I made a TikTok of like, a while ago with my friend Tess of things that like men have done to me that are crazy, and I said brought a Borg on our first date. And Dominic, if you're listening, I know you commented, babe, you told him to bring the Borg. This is me finally speaking my truth. Yeah, I told him to bring the Borg. Should he have even offered it in the beginning? No. Don't let me know you have a Borg, because I will tell you to bring it. Sorry, I'm a bottomless pit. Anyways, that was a different tangent. I'm sorry, I got really heated. So we walk inside and he has his little backpack on with his Borg in it. And we go upstairs to my apartment and I'm showing him my apartment and I show him my room. And he didn't even like my room. Like I take pride in enjoying my room. I just have always had like a good little room. Like my decor is set, it's there, there's a lot going on, but it's organized chaos. And he just like was looking around and was like, and then he like, I have a Taylor Swift poster, duh, and what about it? And he's like, oh, you have a Taylor Swift poster? Or like said something about the Taylor Swift poster. And I was like, why do men like ever even try to like hate on someone that loves Taylor Swift. I don't get it. Like, you're not cool for like hating Taylor Swift. You're not cool for hating Taylor Swift, and you're not cool for making me feel like less than because I love her and I love her music. I'm sick of men. Like, on my date or on Hinge, I think I have a prompt, something about Taylor Swift, and their favorite thing is to reply to it and say like, bro, like, was gonna swipe but you like Taylor Swift, or like just they'll say mean stuff about Taylor Swift, and I'm like, is that how you think you're gonna get me? Is that how you think you're gonna find me over? Like that, I'm immediately not talking to you if you're gonna make fun of me. You don't have to like her, but you don't have to make fun of me for liking her, you know? Anyways, yeah, Swifties are annoying, but sorry, I stand by it. Okay, anyways. So he like goes to my room and he doesn't like my room. I can just tell, and I'm like, okay, well, I think we have different vibes going on. Like I said, he's a lacrosse player, and usually I'm not one to really link with the athletes, because I'm not, an athlete myself, and I don't really know that much about sports, and like usually athletes I feel like are just like hyper masculine men, and I don't really fuck with hyper masculine men like that. So I knew the vibes were a little bit off, but I was like, honestly, he's cute, so I would really like if this worked out. But he just was like not making conversation at all. He was like not starting conversation, so I was like, whatever. And I was like, do you want to go downstairs and play pool? Because we had a pool table at my apartment. He was like, yeah. So we go downstairs. I'm drinking the Borg. We start playing pool, and he's on his phone the whole time we're playing pool, and he's not talking to me really. He's not like starting conversation. Like I'm, of course, leading conversation, and I literally knew I had a pit in my stomach. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna like leave any moment because he hates it. Like he hates it here. He does not like the vibe at all, and he's not attracted to me, which is okay. But it was just like awkward because I was like, I can't blame him for not being attracted to me, But still, I was just like, so we were playing pool and then talking barely, and then he's like, hey, I think my friend needs help setting up for a party. And I was like, oh, ow, ow, ow. No, that's totally cool. Like, you can go. And he leaves to go help his friend set up for a party after he was there for an hour total. And I was in fact drunk from his Borg when he left. By the time he left, I was very drunk from his Borg, and that was probably the worst thing that could have happened, was me being drunk after this, because my emotions were heightened and it was just bad. It was bad. So yeah, that was the time I was truly humbled. That's why I call it the Borg story. So I think the name of the Borg was Borg Crosby. Not original, whatever. Okay. Next story I'm going to tell is about when I first moved to Colorado. And I think I literally had been in my apartment for like maybe a week. Like, it was the very beginning of living there. And my old roommate Greta, hey girl, if you're listening, I love you. She invited, we were having like a little kickback, inviting people over, whatever, and she invited like a bunch of her friends. And one of her friends was actually our like down the hall neighbor. Like, he lived in our apartment building on our floor, like the hall over from us. And everyone was over, and like we were all talking, and I started talking to him, and I was like, oh my god, he's so cute. And I actually ended up piercing his ears that night, because one thing I love to do is pierce a man's ears. Done it many times, and I love to pierce ears in general, so if you ever need it, let me know, hit me up. But I pierced his ears and found out we had the same birthday. He was my birthday twin. Like, we were just vibing. It was good. It was a good little time. We talked the whole night. I was trying to get him bad because I needed him bad. And yeah, it just went well. And so then I think I had mentioned, I was like, oh, I think we're going to like a line dancing bar tomorrow night. You should join us. And he was like, oh yeah, I'll have to see. Like, I think I have a party, but like I'd be down, whatever. And it was a good little vibe. So the next day, the time approaches of going to line dancing bar. So I think I texted him and I was like, hey, like, we're going tonight at this time if you want to come, whatever. I don't fully remember the details of like this whole part, but he said yes, and then he didn't reply to me for a really long time. And then I thought he was ghosting me because we were literally like going to leave and he still hadn't showed up or texted me back since like the morning or something. And then he was like, oh, I can't go. And I was like, fuck, he ghosted me, whatever. And then while we're like literally about to leave, he knocks on our door and he shows up anyways after saying he couldn't go. And I was like, what? So yeah, and then he ended up being able to go and I was like, okay, whatever. And then we all get in our cars, whatever. I definitely was like, you should ride with me. Like, of course I had to do that probably. I was like, you should ride with me, whatever. And we ride in the car, whatever. And we get to the line dancing bar and like we're walking in and like I was talking to him and I was like, I don't really know how to line dance. Like, girl, shut up. God. Like, I don't really know how to line dance. And he was like, sorry, that voice is probably so eerie listening. And he was like, oh, I don't know how to line dance either. Like, and I was like, we can show each other. One thing about me is my favorite thing to do is like pretend I don't know how to dance or comfort a man that doesn't know how to dance, and then I'm like, we can show each other. The amount of times I probably said that line is crazy, but I wasn't lying. I wasn't like trying to dumb myself down. I genuinely don't know how to line dance very well. Like, I'm not good at it, and I don't know how to swing dance very well. And so then we go to the floor, or we get there, we go to the floor, and or I think he like held his hand out. He was like, let's go dance, whatever. And so we go and dance, and it was so cute. We danced for hours. I could definitely be lying. It probably was like an hour, maybe two. And we're dancing the entire time together, like just us. And like, I remember it was really good. It was cute. We were sitting and talking when we would take breaks, and we were just swing dancing for so long. And I think like definitely like my friends were like, do you like her? When she went to the bathroom or something, and he was like, yeah, I like her, whatever. Great vibes. And then we go back to the apartment. I feel like it's probably like 12 at this point. And he comes with us, whatever. And then we're sitting and talking. And I'm asking him about himself. A mistake I'll never make again. I will never ask a man about himself ever again. I literally like constantly have to like make sure that it's okay to ask a man about himself because I'm scared of him talking for 3 hours. 3 hours. I am not kidding you. We started talking at 12 in my kitchen and talked until 3. No, he talked until 3. Because it all started with me asking him the question, what are your friends like? This man proceeds to talk for 3 hours. I am not exaggerating. I have receipts. I have Tess, my old roommate as well. Hey girl, love you. She knows. She was checking on me the whole time. And I was texting her the whole time, like, get this fucking man out of my kitchen. He talked for 3 hours about every single person he's ever known. I am not kidding you. He started with his best friend and ended up as someone he met once in 4th grade. I am not kidding you. It is comedic. I was astonished. I was like, how are you so stupid? I was astonished at the people he was bringing up that he literally had met once or was kind of friends with. He was like I'm not exaggerating. I'm not kidding you. He was like, yeah, and then there was, like Tim from 6th grade. We were like kind of friends and like we were on and off, and he was an okay guy. Like, I don't know, we were friends for like a little bit. I was like, girl, what? I didn't ask you about everyone you've ever met in your life. I was gagged because he literally for 3 hours was talking about every single person he's ever met or known, and he did not once ask me about me or any of my friends, anything like that. So I remember like while probably like an hour and a half into the entire life repertoire, I just needed something to do while he was yapping and talking. Talk about a fucking yapper. Damn, that's a yapper. So about an hour and a half, I was like, I need to do something. So I was like, are you hungry? Like, interrupted him talking about fucking Susie May from 6th grade. I was like, are you hungry? He was like, yeah, honestly, I could eat. And I was like, okay, I can make you some pasta. And he was like, yeah, that sounds good. I make him pasta, hoping that he'll eat it and leave. The thing is like, I know I probably shouldn't have like made him food because that would require him to stay any amount longer, but he wasn't done talking. He literally wasn't done talking. So I was like, I have to do something while he's talking or I'm going to go crazy. So I make him his pasta and I give it to him. And he's like eating one bite because he can't stop. He can't shut his damn mouth. He can't fucking chew his food and shut up. He's just talking. Poor guy, honestly. What, like, he had no ill intent. He meant no harm. I think he's just a little stupid. And yeah, anyways, so he's like eating barely, and around like 2:30 is when I first tried to kick him out. I was like I'm getting really tired. Like, I take my makeup off. I fully took my makeup off in front of him while he was still talking because I was like trying to signal, leave. Maybe my bare face will scare you away. Leave. And he's still going. And at around 2:30, I was like, hey, I'm getting pretty tired. Like, gotta wake up early. Doing fake yawns. Like, doing my big one, doing it all. And he's like, oh, yeah. Anyways, Roger from 8th grade was like an awesome friend that I had. And I was like, just go. He did not take the hint. Not even the hint. I wasn't even hinting. I literally was saying leave. Like, I'm too tired. Go home. And it's not like he had to drive home. He was down the hall, so he could just literally mosey on over and go to your bed. Like, leave. And then I try again at around 2:45. I'm like, really tired. Like, I'm not trying to kick you out, but leave. I'm not trying to kick you out, but like, get out. I said some version of that, and he was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, no, it's pretty late. I forgot to tell you about my 6th cousin. Keeps going until 3. So then at 3, he finally gets up. I don't remember if I had said like another leave or something. He finally gets up. Mind you, Tess is walking in the kitchen this entire time, like checking on me, like being like, oh, how's it going? Like trying to kick him out as well. He finally leaves or starts to leave at 3. And I packed up his pasta for him in a to-go container because I wanted him to get out of the home and he had not eaten yet. So I was like, just take it with you, like leave. So I pack it up. The man starts to walk out and he drops the to-go container pasta and it spills everywhere. Meaning I had to clean up the pasta. And I just really was at length's end. Like, I had nothing left in me to continue seeing or talking to him. I was like, oh my God, just leave. Like, not once in these 3 hours did he ask me anything about myself. Like, it's just crazy. And so then finally, he's like, oh, when he drops the pasta, he's like, I'm sorry. Just go. So then finally, he leaves. And after all of this, the next day, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to see him again. I'm not kidding you. I was like, it was comically bad. Like, comically, like, I literally was like, I never want to see him again. When I was going to bed, I was like, I hate men. I hate them. They're so stupid. They're so idiotic. They don't understand. Like, just take the hint and leave. Like, And this is probably the only story out of all of these that it's simply was just a man who didn't have enough brain cells with peace and love. God, I hope you're not listening. I don't think he would be. There's no way he would be. So I literally was just like, oh my God. And I wake up the next day. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have him over tonight. I'm like, okay, my thought process was like, okay, we had such a great time before he just started yapping. We had an incredible time. I thought there was chemistry. I thought we had a little thing going on. It was great. We danced all night. He was awesome. He was sweet. He was funny. And then he just like switched and was talking for 3 hours about himself and fucking Jimmy Lee from 7th grade. Like, so I was like, I feel like I need to give it one more try, you know? So I text him and I'm like, hey, do you want to come over and make brownies tonight? Or something like that. And he ends up coming over. And I confirm it that I never wanted to see him again after this night because nothing crazy happened. But he gets to my place and we're making brownies. And this is really like my favorite thing ever. Actually so fierce. I ask him like, oh, will you like spray the pan, you know, for the brownies, like, you know, spray some oil so it doesn't stick. And he proceeds to grab the mixing bowl in which you mix the brownie mix, not the pan it's cooked in, the mixing bowl. He grabs the mixing bowl and starts to spray it. And I go, no, honey, no, sweetie, no. Like, spray the pan it's gonna be cooked in. He tried to fucking spray the mixing bowl. Are you kidding me? So that's when I just like really realized, I was like, oh, poor guy. Like, you know, he just doesn't really have a whole lot going on up there. So yeah, and then I think we made brownies and then we watched like BoJack Horseman and just sat on completely different ends of the couch. And then that's when I realized there was no chemistry. I was like, I just don't think we're compatible. So that was that one. And I actually saw him on Tinder like 6 months later. I shockingly never ever saw him again in person. I had a spotting of him once. Like, he was really far away and I snuck away so he couldn't see me. But for him living down the hall from me, I'm really shocked I never saw him again. Don't worry, it crossed my mind every time I left my apartment. I was like, I'm gonna see him. But I did see him on Tinder about 6 months later, and I swiped right only to see if he swiped right on me. You know, you gotta do that sometimes. I had no intentions of talking to him again, but we matched, and I was like, oh, you still want me? Anyways, all right. I think that's all I got today. There's more stories here. We might revisit them, we might not. Some of them I kind of don't even want to talk about again because they're so just not good, but they make great stories. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this episode of Let's Chat. I'll be back next time. I don't know with what topic, but you'll have to wait and see. So hope you enjoyed and thank you for listening.